Hey everyone, I'm Amna Nawaz in New York. Well, they're some of the most famous photographs in the world. The photos of the president and the first family over the years. And now a new book has captured some of the stories behind those photographs in a book called Chasing Light. The photographer joins us live now here. Amanda Lucidon is the photographer and the author of the book. Congratulations, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So you were a White House photographer, which in and of itself is an incredible accomplishment. You spent most of your time with the First Lady, Michelle Obama, and this is mostly a collection of photographs of her, right? Tell me what made you want to put this book together.
Well, our time at the White House, it went so quickly and we had so many experiences, so it was nice to have the time to look back through the images and reflect on all the important work that she did and all the experiences we had and the lessons that I learned through my time there.
It's a gorgeous collection. I want to hear though, because I think a lot of people out there are wondering how you even get to that position where you get to be a fly on the wall with the first family. You grew up outside of Philadelphia. Did you always know photography was going to be it for you?
Well, I got my first camera when I was 15, and I think a few years before that I was, using like a point and shoot camera, and I really liked that. So I thought I always wanted to be a photographer, although there were definitely points along my journey that people were like, well, what do you really want to be? Because
like, this is a backup, but not a career.
That's cute, you want to be a photographer. Maybe you should study this. And so I encountered that throughout my time, and then it just kept being drawn back to photography. So then I had a professor that said, you should really pursue this, and I was like, okay, I will. And so I went and did internships and worked for a newspaper, and then ran my own business in Washington, D.C. for about 5 years before I got a call from Pete Souza, which I thought he had the wrong number when he said, hey, would you like to apply for this job as a official White House photographer? And I was like, do you have the right Amanda?
Are you sure you're calling the right
sure?
person? And you shared this story about sort of your first job in Washington. It was a freelance gig. You weren't even assigned, but it was the inauguration of Barack Obama. It was that freezing cold day everyone remembers so well.
Yeah.
What was it that made you want to go out that day and capture that moment?
It was definitely history. And, we were witnessing history. And I actually wasn't assigned to go out, but I knew that I wanted to be there because I was brand new to the city. So Washington, D.C. is a very competitive market. And so I was having a hard time getting work, being there at first. So, but I just decided, I'm still a photographer and I still want to be there. And it was actually amazing to be among the crowd because you got to feel all the energy. I could take a picture any angle and people were really, really, joyful to be there. And the people were so kind to each other. And it was something that I hadn't really experienced in a mass crowd like that people were so hopeful and optimistic. And there was definitely this feeling of inspiration. So even though it was cold, it was very, we were surrounded by warmth, so that was really nice.
And it was that work that then led to the call from Pete Souza and eventually getting a job inside the White House. You've shared some great stories in the book about what it's like to be in the building every day, but primarily you're working with the First Lady, with Michelle Obama. Everyone knows, her public persona, how gracious and funny and graceful and all those things she can be in public. Is she the same way in private?
Absolutely.
Really? It was consistent throughout?
Absolutely, but I think people don't know that she's actually much funnier. Yeah, she's probably one of the funniest people that I know. But yeah, what the President Obama and Mrs. Obama is definitely what you see is what you get. They're very genuine and grounded, thoughtful, compassionate people, and so I was really lucky to be with them every day for almost 4 years.
Some of the photos that you shared certainly put her at the center of the action, traveling abroad or hosting people at the White House or interacting with kids. But some of them, you don't even see her face. I was curious, tell me about those. Why did you choose to include those?
I'm glad you asked about that because those are my favorite kinds of images to make because, the people who are meeting her for the first time, it's like to capture their reaction to her. It's like it's such raw emotion. So if you make her central to every photo, you might miss that. So I always like looking at the edges of the frame and you have one kid that's like, oh my gosh, it's the First Lady, or someone's crying, and it's just it's those kind of moments that it's pure joy. So.
You do a fabulous job in the book of weaving together these gorgeous photos, but also the stories behind some of them. I wondered if you wouldn't mind walking us through a few of them and maybe tell us a little bit of the details we don't see. There was one out on the White House lawn. I think this is part of the First Lady's Let's Move campaign. She's meeting with a bunch of little kids. She has her arms up in the air. There it is right there. What happened here?
Well, we covered a lot of tapings that happened at the White House, and so we weren't in charge of setting up the tapings. That was the job of the people who were filming, which I was glad that I wasn't in charge of keeping track of all the puppies and all the children that were in there.
I was going to say, this is like the worst of all, a photographer says, like kids and animals outside.
Right, it's totally unpredictable. So I was just there to document the scene of them doing this filming. So you can see in like half the picture, it's really working out, and the other one is sort of like the dogs are running away. So, but I guess embracing that and having fun in that moment, I really like that. The picture of Mrs. Obama.
Yeah, and the First Lady there, so energetic and exuberant. We've seen her so many times. There's another one you captured, as you mentioned, traveling with the family, some sort of intimate moments that a lot of people don't get to see and that don't show up in news reports or anywhere else. The First Lady was traveling with the President and the girls in China. You capture this photograph on the Great Wall, and it is just, it's at once breathtaking because of the scope and the place, and so intimate too. Tell me about this.
Yeah, so this was a trip. It was just Mrs. Obama and the girls, and we were visiting some schools in China. And yeah, for me, just to be on the Great Wall of China was a place that I had seen in books, but I never imagined that I'd actually be there. Me, by myself with other people, on the Great Wall of China, but to actually be there with Mrs. Obama and her daughters was just, I kept pinching myself. I couldn't believe it was real. And so, this picture, I just think it's just shows what a loving mother she is, and how special her family is to her, and as important of a role she has. It's being a mother is, she says that's the most important role to her. And so as a new mother, I also use that as an example of what I'd like to be to my own child.
And you really captured the full range of her personality in your photos. There's one photo in particular that when I saw it, I didn't know it was yours. I saw it in the book, and I thought, oh, I know, everyone knows this photo of the couple of Barack and Michelle Obama. I think it's at the sidelines of a joint taping they were at together. It's just adorable. Tell me about this.
Well, again, this is one of the tapings that were happening in the White House, and we're just there to, document that process. And so the people who were in charge of the taping were switching cameras because they were going to do another part of the segment. And so it was just about, a few seconds where she just, just leaned up against him, and I barely had enough time to get my camera up, and I just took, 2 frames, and I was lucky to have a great editor point out what a nice moment it was.
It certainly is. I think a lot of people remember that too. And you mentioned that you are a new mother as well. You dedicated the book to your mother and to your daughter. Why did you decide to do that?
I think it's the most important role, is that you have the opportunity to push your own child, and having this journey with my mom, and to see that all we've gone through, and to see how proud she is to be able to see me do this work, and to look into my daughter's eyes and know that there's a world of potential, that if you are nurturing, that she can go out into the world and do anything. I think that's what Mrs. Obama taught me, is it doesn't matter where you came from, it just matters where you want to go, and that's really all up to you. So that's what I hope for my child, and that's what I see in my mom's eyes when I read the book to her. She was really, really touched. So,
well, it is a beautiful collection. Congratulations so very much, Amanda Lucidon. The book is Chasing Light, and go out and get it right away. Thanks to all of you for watching. Thanks to you for being here, Amanda. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You can go to abcnews.com anytime for more information on your latest news and headlines, or download the ABC News app. Get them all right to your news or mobile device. For now, I'm Amna Nawaz, and I'll see you back here soon.